Hey, so like we talked yesterday, Hugo, we made slides for you last week, and so we wanted you to do a few things for us today so that we can really maximize you as a support. So I'm just going to go through a few things with you, particular math. We want you to run two small groups. In total, we have 12 students. I'm hoping that they're all going to be able to meet with you today. I know Ms. Delgado, I'll text her this morning to let her know that she needs to add her 4 kids. But for Alonso, it's Genesis, Abiel, Jessica, Miguel. For me, Luis, Francisco, Jose Garcia, Natalia. And these are the groups, these are the kids that need a little extra support with number sense. And so I'm going to go through what we would like for you guys, what we would like for you to do. So we want to start with like a number warm up. So the warm up is like skip counting by twos until we get to 76 today. Let me just mention one other thing. So for the number sense groups, it is up to you how you split them up. So let's say you take Ms. Alonso's 4 and then 2 from Ms. Delgado, and then for one group, and you can send them the time that you want to meet with them, and then 2 from Ms. Delgado and my 4 for a second group. We don't want to have one whole group of 12 because then it's way too many. And we want you to really focus on 6 kids at a time. Or again, up to you if you have time during the day. Maybe instead of having 2 groups, you have 3 small groups and you meet with them for 20 minutes each. Again, up to you how you plan out your day, what you think is going to be the most efficient for you as well. But definitely we want to make sure the group doesn't surpass 6 kids. So as I was saying, the first part would be a warm-up. So skip counting by twos until we get to 76 today. We have this organizer just as a visual for them. So you would be presenting your screen and saying, I will begin, and then here's the order of who will go next. So like, let's say you start, right? You're skip counting by twos. You can model that like, 2, 4, 6, right? And then you would say, okay, Jose, you're next after me. And then Natalia, you're after Jose, so that they know who's going next and who's counting next. Or you can, always just say their name, but they should be skip counting by twos as a group with you. And again, you're just getting up to the number 76. You might even do that more than once just for them to practice. Number one, some of them have a difficult time pronouncing the words in English for numbers. And number two, just in general, just number sense in general is a little challenging for some of them. From there, you're going to want to do a do now. Another skill that I noticed that they need support with, which is related to number sense, but them breaking apart numbers or decomposing. So I chose the number 23, 1, because it's an odd number. 2, I want them to use addition to decompose it. And I gave 2 examples, like 20 plus 3 equals 23 is probably the easiest one that they might do. But we want to really have them think about like, what are some other ways that we can decompose 23? Like 12 plus 11 equals 23, or 18 plus 5 equals 23. And you might have to prompt them, right? Like say, 11 plus what gives me 23? And if you can obviously do that until you have at least maybe 10 to 12 ways on how to decompose 23. If they repeat one that it's already listed, just ask them, prompt them again, like, let's think of another way to decompose 23 using addition. We're not going to use subtraction. So if they say 23 minus 0 equals 23, or prompt them or push them to use addition for that. Okay, so from there, this is what's going to be on their benchmark. They need to know how to complete a pattern. So you would want to read it to them. Okay, 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 14, 16. And you would want to ask them like, what number is going to complete this pattern and how do you know? One thing you might have them do is like look at the relationship between the numbers, right? So like from 2 to 4, it seems like we're adding how much, right? Without giving them the answer too much, you really want them to push their thinking. And then, obviously they would say, well, the number to complete this pattern is 10 because it seems like it's counting by twos. And then here it looks a little similar, but it's different because we've been talking about doubling. So I'm hoping one of them will be able to say that it's doubling. And if they don't say doubling, if you can say the word for them at the end. So like what number completes the pattern, same. Look at the relationship between the numbers. Yeah, it seems like we're adding 2 from 2 to 4 to get the 4. And then from 4 to 8, we're adding 4. And then from 8 to 16, it seems like we're adding 8 again, right? Or 8. And from 16 to 32, it seems like we're adding 16. So what's happening, right? So they might say, oh, it's like we're adding the same number to itself, which is what we've been talking about, which is doubling. We'll see if they'll be able to get it. That one might be a little bit more challenging. You might walk them through that a little bit more. And then lastly, we've been talking about how to get an answer, how to multiply. So this one, how much do these stamps cost? Really the first, let me add that too. The first factor is going to be the rows, right? Our number of groups times how many stamps in each group or in each row times cost equals the product. I'll fix that so it's not all over the place, but so you would ask them like, how many rows do you have? They might say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And yeah, we could do the commutative property, but the question is how many rows? And we've been talking about rows are horizontal. So you want them to say 2 rows and then times 6, because 6 is how many stamps are in each row, times the cost so that they're able to multiply. And then you would want them to multiply in parts. So then 2 times 6, there's 12 stamps, times each one is 2. So they're multiplying 12 times 2 to get to the total cost. They might ask them like, well, how much does it cost? Like, what strategy are you going to use to solve? They might say, oh, let's do skip counting. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. There's 12 here. I just have to double it, and that'll give me 24. Just explore different ways with them. They might say different things, which is totally fine. They might use repeated addition too. Either one, we just really want them to get that practice. The other thing we wanted you to do maybe before you meet with the groups is to create your own Google Classroom and to make a Meet link for yourself. If you don't have time today, maybe you can just have the kids meet with you on one of our Meet links, but preferably we want you to have your own so that they know it's like, oh, it's class with Mr. Jimenez, and make it special. And this is separate. But if you have time today, because I know this might be a lot today because you're going to be going through this for the first time, and then setting up your Google Meet, if you have time, if you can make these calls. So some of these kids last week didn't turn in some work, and so we wrote down their names, and then I think Miss Delgado wrote a script for you. And like specifically for my group, these kids didn't do this exit ticket. And it's more about like the consistency of turning in work. Like sometimes they turn in work, but sometimes they don't for my class. And I think it's the same for those other kids as well. Actually, I think you already did this, so disregard me. But yeah, definitely we want you to work on this. If you have time, I might send you, I was going to say something. I might send you a list of students who didn't turn in their math exit ticket yesterday on Google Classroom. That's the other thing, like I'm struggling with a little bit. Most of them are turning in on Google Classroom, but some are still kind of not. And that's the transition we want them to make. And then the other thing is if you can work with Edwin like you did yesterday with the high frequency words, and then maybe just read one page with them, because I know, reading a whole book might be too much. But if you can just spend maybe 15 minutes with them today, that would be amazing. So thank you so much. You're awesome, and we really appreciate you.